is Nina. Now, if you guys are fans of NA StarCraft at all, you know the name Nina. She is terrifying on the ladder and amazingly polite and kind in person. I've actually never met Nina in person, but I've seen her stream all the time, so I feel like I know her. If you guys enjoy watching first-person point-of-view StarCraft streams and you play a lot of Protoss, I cannot recommend Nina enough. Cannot recommend Nina enough. Her stream is very unlike. If you compare it to some other Protoss players, if you want like a lot of excitement and joy in your stream, go watch M Canning. If you want to watch like a lot of BM and inappropriate stuff, go watch Parting. If you want a chill stream with like some good music and a good review of like what's actually happening, go check out Nina's stream. She streams quite often, and her streams are always informative and chill and polite. And oh, Nina, you can't lose a probe like that. So I'm talking her up now, and then blam. Oh god, did I say Portuguese? Oh god, I'm so embarrassed. Hang on, I'm making up for my mistakes earlier. Yeah, obviously, Brazilian is not a language unless you're a dumb American. Cosmos casting in Portuguese. Sorry, I saw the Brazilian flag and I just was, anyway, I'm dumb. Anyway, if you like first-person point-of-view Protoss streams, go check out Nina. She's chill, she's nice, and she's so informative. She loses a game, she doesn't rage, she just like, okay, let's check the replay. Yeah, I had troubles here, had some troubles there. This is what I need to do differently next time. Let's go again, It's a great vibe. I highly recommend it. Vindcita, of course, a player who streams a very little bit. I think he's over on Trovo sometimes as well as Team Alpha X. Most of our streamers moving over to Trovo. But he streams occasionally, not as often though, but he's still a very terrifying player. I think Nina is probably the favorite in this matchup, but Vindcita is a terrifying opponent. Honestly, I'm a little surprised to see Vindcita at a 1-2 right now. I think he's a much better player than that 1-2 record might represent, and it's surprising to see him struggling so much. Now this Adept will, or pardon me, the Reaper will go down, and not a single kill from that Reaper, or just one single kill from that Reaper. I was really hoping that he could grab a second one here, but nice defense by Nina there, preventing that Adept from getting any more damage done. The Scout, of course, did come down, but there's not that much to see right now. Nina's doing a Stargate, and okay, does Vindcita know about it? Yeah, absolutely. Vindicta's vision has seen this, so it's happening. He knows that Stargate is on the table, and that's going to go, wow. Knowing that Stargate's on the table, Vindicta's going to go ahead and drop a second barracks before his own starport. Now, this is an interesting play, and I can't tell you how much I love it. Greedy third base, second barracks to cover it. You really do have to get a second, probably a third barracks. Yeah, third barracks starting up right now for Vindcita. If you're going for very aggressive early third CC, you really do need that extra barracks in the top ground, just because you're going to have some units on the map to prevent a complete overrun by your opponents. So nicely done here by Vindcita. This is a good build order, and it's going to be really nice against Nina, who's still making Phoenix. I don't know if you guys know this, but Mass Marine does an amazing job against Phoenix. So well done here by Vindcita. He's going to have a strong build against what Nina is, and now Nina has to find a way to try and punish Vindicta's greedy early third base. The Phoenix getting in, getting one SCV kill, but most importantly, of course, spotting the third barracks and spotting that third CC. So now Nina knows what she's up against and just has to formulate a plan. Anytime you see a player going for a greedy economic build, you got two major options. One, muster your forces, go all in, hit a strong timing, and try and do some real damage. Or two, and that's what Nina is choosing as option B here, which is to expand yourself and try and keep going, keep out-econ your opponent, and it looks like that's what Nina's going for. And I gotta say, I like her plan. She's going to try and get a third base down, she's got a Robo Bay down now, and she's going to transition smoothly from this Phoenix opener into Phoenix Colossus, which is one of Nina's strongest plays. If you watch Nina's stream, you'll know she loves that Phoenix Colossus play. She has a pretty deep mastery of the play as well. She knows it very well and has great Phoenix control, has good late game control with the Colossi and the Phoenix out as well. And look at this, picking down Marines one by one, hasn't lost a single Phoenix yet, despite two of them being in the orange, the red, and one in the yellow there as well. Good Phoenix control from Nina, and yeah, gotta drop some more gateways soon, because you do need some more units on the ground. One of the dangers of going Phoenix Colossus, if you're like a platinum level player or below, one of the dangers of going Phoenix Colossus is that you can get really excited about Phoenix Colossus. She's like, oh man, I'm gonna build 1,000 Phoenix, gonna build 1,000 Colossus, and I'm just gonna murder across the map. Spoiler alert, that does not work. You've got to have gateway units on the low ground to support these Phoenix and Colossus. If you don't have any gateway units, your Colossi just get riggedy wrecked, son, by Cyclones, by tanks. And of course, if those Marauders and Marines can get underneath the Colossus because there's no buffer of gateway units, you can get so much damage done as a Terran player against it. So, Nina being very wise, grabbing a couple more gateways here, and working on +1, as well as this ETL, Extended Thermal Lance, on the way. This three barrack play, though, finally paying off for Vindcita. Finally, the production getting to ramped up quite a bit. We wouldn't be surprised to see Vindcita pushing. He's obviously going to move out right now to protect the third base with his tank should siege up. But honestly, I wouldn't be surprised to see these units move out a little bit further, and neither is Nina. She's going to spot this, and I think Vindcita is going to try and apply a little bit of mid-game pressure here to Nina. Honestly, a little surprised if he doesn't. Okay. Stay back home, protect the third. Worried about the Phoenix popping in, but Nina should know that, yeah, this third base just completely covered. I mean, this Observer getting a massive vision advantage to Nina here. Very well done. Very well done. Nina grabbing a fourth base to stay one base ahead of her opponent. Blink is going to be skipped here. You don't usually go for Blink when you're going for Phoenix Colossus. Charge is usually the first thing you go for, and that's what Nina's going to grab. A lot of Charge Zealots underneath. Again, what you want to do is prevent a lot of space for those Colossi to stand in the back and just mow down everything you possibly can. So ideal unit composition for Nina. It's going to be a couple of Phoenix, handful of Colossi, and then a bunch of charge slots. Again, giving that space for the Colossus so they can't get touched, and the bio units have to try and pepper down the Zealots in the front before they can move through that front line and get back to the Colossus. But right now, first Colossus on the way. The third Colossus on the way for Nina. First two already out. Now, Nina is missing a Warp Prism, and that's a big, not a mistake necessarily from Nina. I think you skip Warp Prism in this build usually, but I'd love to see a Warp Prism. She's been so busy getting these Colossi out, she hasn't gotten a Warp Prism yet, and if you want to sustain an attack on a Terran player, you really do need that Warp Prism. So I wouldn't be surprised to see her going for a Warp Prism after this third Colossus, and maybe even waiting for that Warp Prism before engaging, but Nina can be a little impatient sometimes, and if she feels like she's going to have an opportunity to strike, very often Nina will take it, even if it's not quite optimal. So wouldn't be surprised if she did move out a little bit aggressively. Not paying attention to those Phoenix there. After I talk up how well she controls her Phoenix, she loses sight of that mini-map for just a moment, and one Phoenix does get pecked down. Interesting. No Warp Prism from Nina, going straight into Disruptors behind this. There's no Storm on the map just yet. She's got some Templar, but they all turned into Archons as well. So no Storms available, which means Disruptors are going to be the only thing able to zone Vindcita out. Now, Vindcita has not seen this move out, but Nina does have a bead that Vindicta's moving out, and this Scouting Zealot is going to see the tanks moving around, and that should be all Nina needs to see. 2 tanks on the map doesn't happen by accident. You don't just send out 2 tanks. There's got to be a bioarm behind that, and Nina very wisely going to rotate back to protect her natural. She's, of course, expanded to an unusual 4th base location in the bottom right-hand corner, so this fight actually is going to be over like some no man's land. That means that Nina feels that she has a huge advantage right now in this game and just wants to crush her opponent's army, but actually a really nice concave from Vindcita there, and Nina's Colossi, as we said earlier, are going to get caught with no bio really underneath them, and not enough gateway units underneath them, and this gateway units need to be able there to provide some buffer for the Colossus. I think Nina very lucky right now. She did not lose any of those Colossi in what could have been a really rough fight. Little Zealot run by gets cleaned up here by the Ghost and a couple of bio units that are reinforcing. Vindicta's been pushed away. I think that was a very fortuitous choice. Vindcita probably could have pushed a little bit harder and maybe grabbed a couple of those Colossi. His tanks were there, or Nina's Colossus stuck on that mineral patch. They're both trying to go through that same mineral patch. Ha! That was a weird pathing error. Anyway, drop gonna get driven back here. Nothing happening in the main base. Yeah, another Stalker. A couple more Stalker warp-ins. Should drive away that double drop as well. Phoenix need to be rallied down to the bottom side. Where are Nina's Phoenix? Oh my god, did she lose all her Phoenix in that fight? She did. All 5 Phoenix gone now, and Nina transitioning from Phoenix Colossus into Colossus Gateway from here. +2 on the way now for Nina, +2 on the way for Vindcita. Good to see 2 really nice players, both of whom are able to get upgrades constantly cranking out. Something that's really important here in PvT are those upgrades. Even though Disruptors don't benefit from upgrades, Cyclones don't really benefit from upgrades once they lock on. It's still very important to stay even with your opponent. If you've ever watched a PvT rather, and seen the Zealots just melting, and you're like, what the hell's going on? These Zealots should be, oh right, there's 0/0 Zealots against 3 Marines or something. It's a very obvious change when Marines fire so fast. The upgrades matter for them so much. Remember, rate of fire is a huge factor to consider when you're doing upgrades. If a unit fires once every 10 seconds, then a +1 upgrade is only going to affect one attack every 10 seconds. If you've got a Marine that's cranking out rounds twice a second, upgrade's going to be much more effectual for them. Big drop for Vindcita queued up here. Nina does have an observer in place, but the observer's been scanned, so Vindcita should know this is coming. Nina rotating way around the map here, and again, we're going to see both players going for a bit of a counterattack on both sides here. There's going to be a big drop into the main here, and Nina might need to recall here. Nina's seen the drop in the main, but she's currently dealing with this push via 5th base as well. The 5th base at the 3 o'clock position looks like it's under duress, but Nina's just going to go for it here. Attacking into Vindicta's 12 o'clock base as well. Vindcita with a double drop in the main base and the 5th base here. This is so interesting from Vindcita. What on earth is going on? A lot of Marines picking down production facilities here. A lot of probes going down as well, but Nina keeping her entire army together. Nina can, of course, recall to one of these bases if she so chooses, wants to clear out the natural as best she can, maybe get down some of these production facilities right now. Nina does need to start working on some sort of plan to save her bases, though. It doesn't matter how many probes she's got. If she doesn't have any production facilities powered up, she can't do much at all. Back home, we do see a very slow push from Vindcita sieging up these tanks, waiting, of course, at any moment for Nina to come back. Nina has this base in the bottom corner, and Vindcita should know about that base in the bottom corner. Yeah, absolutely does. The natural's still up for Nina. Nina, meanwhile, cruising through, again, keeping her entire army together. Colossi still alive. Archon's still alive. The buildings have up and moving out for Vindcita, who's flying down south. Nina, though, only 1-2 Nexi left right now. It's not going to be quick enough to get a recall down. And the second that Vindcita sees a recall to this Nexus, he's going to target fire it down, instead going for depowering of most of these units. And surprisingly, not depowering a lot of the gateways here. Nina can still warp in, well, could still warp in if she weren't terribly supply blocked right now. And this is going to turn into a very, very ugly fight on both sides. Barracks, 1 command center moving down for Vindcita here. Vindcita camping in Nina's natural right now. Again, Nina has... Okay, there we go. Finally, Vindcita depowering everything in the main base. Warp Prism speed not going to go down, and the Stargate will get picked off as well. Dark Shrine going down for Nina, hoping that she can catch Vindcita with no scans and with no Ravens on the map. Dark Templar could actually be a huge blow. Luckily, Vindicta's able to siege up. This base is so dangerous. I'm amazed to see Nina actually doing a lot of danger, actually committing to saving her position here in this bottom base. This bottom base is a lot like Willy Wonka's factory before the golden tickets. Nobody ever goes in there and nobody ever comes out. There's only one entryway, and it's of course completely surrounded by tanks right now. Nina desperately trying to rebuild a nexus, but is going to be able to move her army into position. But Vindcita already has a really strong tank position here. Nina's just going to go for it. Stalker's blinking out a tank fire here. Disruptor's going for it. The Disruptor Ball's not quite going to catch those tanks. Getting a lot of the bio army though. Nina's bottom nexus has been cleared out here, but Nina actually has a huge army supply advantage actually in favor of Vindcita. Army value in favor of Vindcita as well. Pardon me. Nina has some good composition, but not enough gateway units underneath. Vindcita no longer supply blocked. SCV count at 23 to 30 probes, but it doesn't really matter at this point. All that matters is the army supply here. Vindcita gonna unsiege the tanks and moving over. Tanks unsieged. He's got to be careful about this. There it is. Tanks sieging up yet again. Should be able to defend this position. Really weird. Now we've seen Vindcita moving in and taking Nina's third base. Double disruptor balls onto those tanks, but that is going to cost Nina a couple shots on one of her disruptors as well. Bio army rotates up to the north side here. Tanks getting a re-in position. A beautiful EMP there from Vindcita, and Nina fighting for her little life here at the natural. She knows she can't do it. There's just too much from Vindcita. Game number 1 gonna go to our Alpha X Terran player. Wow, what a scrappy end to that game. Goodness gracious. I thought Nina was in a strong position, didn't recall to either of her bases. A very odd choice from Nina there. I definitely thought she was going to recall to one of those bases and try and fight Vindcita off. A little surprised to see that that didn't happen. Already a difficult position to fight from, though, and both those players in a very awkward spot, doing a pretty decent job. I'm trying to think what else Nina could have done to win that one. She did have a good army. She did have a decent tech for her army as well. You know, it's hard to say. It's very hard to prognosticate as well. You know, if this had happened, if that had happened, if I had wheels, I'd be a wagon. It's difficult to know what's going down. All right, I think we're ready to go here. Vindcita says he's ready. Nina usually does take a couple seconds in between games, but wow, she's going to go ahead and say she's ready as well. And the countdown has begun. Game number 2, Vindcita up 1-0. Remember, guys, Vindicta's record is currently 1-2. Nina's record is currently 2-1. If Vindcita takes game 2, Nina's going to be even at 2-2. as is Vindcita, and they're both going to move to the middle of this group, further making Group A a little bit awkward. Sorry, my phone is on. How did that happen? Mute you. Mute you. All right. We're good to go. Game number 2. Vindcita leads 1-0. Let's hop on to Oxide LE and see what's going on. All right. Spawning in that top right-hand side of Oxide LE in the blue. Losing game number 1 in a very rough base trade. Her name is Nina. And her opponent in the bottom left-hand side in the red, repping Team Alpha X and also the US of A. It is our Terran player, Vindcita. Or should we call him Windcita? Vindcita taking game number 1. Wild stuff. Remember, that was off the back of a 2 racks, 3 CC opener from Vindcita. So really interesting play on both sides. Nina likely going to go Phoenix first again. Nina really favoring those Stargate openers these days. Got a bit of damage done with the Phoenix early in the game, but wasn't able to really sustain it. Once those Phoenix were gone, there weren't obviously no lifts available. And just wasn't able to quite take the fight that she was hoping for, I think. So, interesting choices from Nina. But yeah, again, we'll have to see what that tier 2 tech is going to be. Nina not walling off the main at all. Going for a natural down first. It's going to be Gateway into Nexus. Into Cybercore for Nina. So Nina playing a little bit greedier here than last game, but I'm pretty sure she's going to be just fine. Reaper expand. Coming down for Vindcita. There it is. The probe gets chased away. Is Nina going to lose his probe again? Oh, it's so close. Nah, probe should be fine. Probe should be fine as the Reaper pops out for Vindcita. Going to head across the map and see what it can see. To see what it could see. Yeah. Sometimes we'll see Terran players these days in TVPs going for Marine openers. Just because it's hard to get much done. But since Vindcita actually saw the locations of the Gateway and Cybercore, he knows that he can sneak into Nina's base from that Reaper jump up spot on Oxide. So I like to play. I will say the Reaper jump up spot on Oxide, and I'm not a map maker, but earlier in the this map's life cycle, this Reaper jump up spot was covered with grass and like a little steel wreckage there, and it didn't look like you could actually jump up on it at all. The first couple times I saw it, I was like, wow, really? That's a Reaper jump up spot? It looks like it's blocked off already. But luckily, they've gone through a few more iterations of the map, and they've cleaned up a couple things, including that Reaper jump up spot looking a little bit weird. The only other thing they changed on this map before it was released to the general public for the latter edition was that the trees here actually could do, if you flew something under the trees or over the top of the trees, they would actually appear under the trees. So like if you had a medevac drop coming into the main base, the trees would shadow over the medevac and you couldn't see it on screen, or it could hide like a little bit. And it was a cool mechanic. I was like, oh, are they going to leave that in? That's kind of fun. That's kind of fun. But they took it out, so that's all right. Still a great map. I love Oxide LE. My favorite fact about Oxide LE, if you're curious about the map, Nina again going for a Robo this time, though. It's not going to be Phoenix Colossus. It's going to be a probably Disruptor drops out of Nina, although Nina tends to favor Colossus drops. So keep your eyes on that. It'll be one of the two. As we see that Robo finish up, the Warp Prism is out, and we'll see what's going on. Anyway, my other fun fact about Oxide, if you play on this map, guys, you'll see these towers all over the map that are full of like some bubbling liquid or something. There's actually hidden units in some of the towers, including in this tower here. There's a Moopy. Do you see him? A little Ewok looking guy. Only tower that has a Moopy hidden there in the base. It is going to be Colossus drops out of Nina. Now, Nina is one of the most fearsome players to go Colossus drops, but what a Reaper scout from Vindcita! Oh! Stalker's out of position at the natural, and this Reaper's going to see it. He saw the Warp Prism. He saw the Robo Bay. He saw what he could see. He saw everything, and now the Robo's gonna start with, I love this, Nina waiting until the Reaper's dead to start Warp Prism speed, that gravitic drive upgrade. But it's not like she's gonna fool Vindcita. Oh, there's a Warp Prism out early and a Robo Bay. I wonder what this build could be, and he knows exactly what's going on. should be able to keep, a Viking out to catch this Warp Prism on its way across. A second Viking, a Cyclone. Vindicta is hungry for this, and that's a massive, massive, enormous, very large scout from Vindicta. Nina's going to load that Colossus up and go for the drop, but honestly, Vindicta is on the hunt for it now. Knows exactly that the scouting, not the scouting pattern, but the flight pattern for a Colossus drop is right across the map because the Protoss player wants to get that into the main base of the Terran player as soon as possible. So Vindicta is going to spot it. The Viking going to lock on, the Cyclone going to lock on as well, and Nina is not going to have a good time. This is what happens when you French fry and you're supposed to pizza. You're not going to have a good time. Extended Thermal Lance coming out from Nina, who's doubling down on this. Wow. I half expected her to try and, tech her way out of this, but it's not going well. Cyclone lock on, going to catch this. What a rotation from Vindicta. Nina's going to lose the Colossus and the Warp Prism, and I got to mark this stream as NSFP, not safe for Protoss. That was horrifying. Terran players, you're welcome. Oh, man, look at the army supply graph there. Poor Nina. Just losing so much army supply there. An unfortunate chunk down there, and that means that Nina's entire opener has been negated. Now, she's got a good follow-up to this, right? 3 gates, charge lot, +1 armor for the charge lots. That's absolutely the right play, even expanding to a 3rd base, whereas Vindicta just now getting his 3rd base up in the main base. But Vindicta clearly not planning on going for a 3rd base until he caught that Warp Prism with the Colossus in it. It looked like to me Vindicta was actually just going for a little bit of a +1 timing. Only 1 engineering bay, which tells me that he's not going for a long late game strategy. Wants to be knocking on Nina's door. As soon as that +1 stim and combat shields are finished, we can see the army supply wildly in favor of Vindicta here. Nina building 6 gates to try and protect herself. She definitely knows what's coming, and she needs to get these rounds of warp-ins done sooner rather than later. Vindicta is going to start heading across the map. He's going to secure this 3rd base location, snipe the observer. Nice snipe there from Vindicta, and should move out any second now. His +1 is about, 30 seconds away from finishing, give or take, and I think it's going to be pretty good here from Vindicta. This is looking real rough. Even sending a drop into the main to draw the army of Nina out of position. Vindicta doing everything right here. The drop in the main base is so clutch because if you know you're ahead in army supply, you're like, okay, I'm ahead in army supply, so I can commit 10 army supply to this drop. I can commit 10 army supply to this drop and still be able to take a fair fight against my opponent with 4 tanks out with a beautiful tank position behind these destructible rocks. It looks like Vindicta is going to try and pressure Nina's army back, try and draw the army into this tank fire, and then landed Vikings in the natural. Little drop going into the main here. This has been spotted, but what can Nina do about it? She needs all of her resources to fight this push. Now, this is a lot of charge lots on top of these tanks here. The tanks are actually going very quickly here. Vindicta's going to get folded up like a house of cards here, but the problem is that the probes are still going down. Nice Viking snipes in the natural, and 15 probes total going down for Nina. That was not single, not dual, but triple-pronged harass from Vindicta, able to get some good damage done. Nina getting pulled all over the map like taffy in the candy room floor. Oh man, oh man. You guys ever pulled taffy before? It's so much fun. I highly encourage you, if you have the opportunity, to go to a taffy pulling competition or a taffy pulling workshop or a taffy pulling festival. Just Google taffy pulling festival near me, and I'm sure there will be thousands of results. It's tons of fun, and plus, you get a hell of a workout if you pull on enough taffy. No joke, man. You know what 20 pounds of taffy is? 20 pounds of sugar that you're pulling on because it's elastic. Oh, God, I love taffy so much. It's so good. Anyway, taffy aside, let's see what else is going on in this game here. A little surprised that Nina's dropping another drop in the natural here. This will get picked up, though. Stalker, nice. Stalker's actually going to focus fire down the medevac. Only 5 probe kills. That wasn't the most efficient pull from Vindicta, but still keeping Nina back home, preventing her from moving across the map with her superior army supply, which she has just been investing in very heavily. Again, I was going to say I'm a little surprised to see Nina going for another forge here. Dual forge is something that most Protoss players only do if they're way ahead in a game, and they're like, I'm going to get more ahead and invest into that double upgrades. But it's actually going to pay off I think, because there's still just a single engineering bay out for Vindicta. So the only one upgrade at a time. Nina is going to pull ahead in upgrades if, in fact, she starts spinning that extra forge. Luckily, The scouting supply depot here is going to spot what Nina's doing, and Vindicta's going to be able to rotate around very quickly. Very nice liberation zones for Vindicta, a good scan, and Nina decides she's just going to go for it here. Nina pushing in. Stalkers underneath the Liberators here. The Liberators both will go down. There's not a lot of units left here on the ground for Vindicta, who may have been a little bit too aggressive, going for some more econ behind this. And yeah, Nina's going to crush through here. This is a really impressive play from Nina. It's not a planetary here, of course, the third. So I think that Nina should be able to clear most of this out. Vindicta may stay alive. Maybe. I'm just not sure. But Nina's somehow finding a really nice timing, taking out those Liberators, not eating a lot of damage, and the Immortal getting so much done. Good focus fire by Vindicta on that Immortal, but Nina going to crush through here. The third base loses 31 SCVs, and now moving into the natural. What a good counterplay from Nina. Wow. Wow. We're going to game 3. We're going to game 3. Nina with a really, really nice counter, or not pressure, but follow-up pressure after Vindicta was able to get that triple-pronged harass on her in the early game. Man, I thought Nina was down and out of that match, but she showed us that she can turn those frowns upside down and make a great play there in the middle and late game there. Nina with a decent army composition. I love that she wasn't going for like a really high-tech army comp. She read the situation really well and was like, you know what? I crushed a bunch of your tanks earlier. If you don't have a lot of tanks, Charge Lots and Blink Stalkers are going to be just fine because I can get on top of your bio forces there, and a couple of Mortals going to help as well. So Nina somehow pulling out of that, not overcommitting to the probes back home as well, not over probing on those bases, and finding a really nice balance. So great read by Nina there, and we're going to go in to a game 3. I love it. Pillars of Gold going to be map number 3. Jaw NNYP says, what up, best stream? That's right. You're here on the ESL DreamHack B stream. That's B for best and bald. And of course, when Grant's here with me, it's B for best, bald, and British. Even better. TBD forever. Am I joking, or is Taffy Pulling Festival everything? I don't think there's a real Taffy Pulling Festival, but I'm pretty sure if there is one, chat will tell you all about it. And if there is, I'm going. It feels like a very New England thing. Like I could see like some Atlantic, like New England town that has some big taffy, the home of saltwater taffy or something, might be able to do it. I don't know, man. There's got to be a taffy pulling festival somewhere. Has to be. All right. Before I get sucked into the on my stream, I talk about cheese a lot, like actual cheese that you eat, because I love cheese so much and I'm hyper addicted to it. And what happens when I stream on my own channel is I get into what I call the time cheese continuum, where I'll like talk about like, I don't, some Munster on. So I'll be like, oh, I had this great Munster cheese yesterday. And then 2 minutes later, because I'm on a 2-minute delay, chat will start talking about the Munster cheese, and then I'll respond to chat. So 2 minutes later, I'll talk more about cheese, and then chat will talk more about cheese. And I don't want to get pulled into like a time taffy continuum here on DreamHack stream. So unfortunately, I gotta call it there, and we're gonna hop into game number 3. Spawning. In the top right-hand side of Pillars of Gold, LE, it's our Team Exxon American Protoss player. Her name is Nina. And Nina's opponent. In the bottom left-hand side in the red, he is hip. He is square. He is Terran from Alpha X. His name is Vindicta. It's hip to be square. Bop. Ba-na-na-na. Ba-na-na-na. Bop. Doo-doo-doo. What a great song. Black man bands in business suits. That was Michael McDonald performing Hip to Be Square, but sorry. Can't do it. It's sad that I just made a Hip to Be Square reference and I didn't get an opportunity to do the only accent I can ever do, which is Christian Bale in American Psycho. You like Huey Lewis in the News? That's the only accent I feel like I really can nail, is Christian Bale's very weird accent in that movie. And Hip to Be Square is the perfect opportunity, but I just missed it. Look Looks like Nina going for a Cybercore first this game. Slightly different than last game where she went Nexus first, but I don't think it's really going to matter. Nexus coming down right behind that. So Nina looking to maybe get a bit of an earlier Stargate out this game as compared to last game when she went for that Twilight Council opener. But things still pretty wide open. The SCV going to get the full scout there, sees the timing of the natural, should know the Cybercore's up in the high ground. And with that slightly earlier natural, Vindcita should suspect some pressure as well. Interesting. Did you guys just see that? Did you see that? Nina dropping a shield battery in her main base very, very early. Now, if we take a look at Nina's vision, she has seen the barrack, has not seen the factory. She saw the low ground command center going down as well. So I'm not really sure what Nina is nervous about right now, why she's dropping that shield battery in the main base. This is a little unusual. The Reaper, of course, will get into the spot. She's going to have the Stalker out in plenty of time, though. So an odd choice there from Nina. And wow, instead of Stargate, she is going to go Twilight Council here in game number 2. So despite getting the earlier Cybercore, she's still going to go Twilight Council here in game number 2. The question now becomes, how quickly does the Robo go down? Or how quickly does Glaved Adept start? If there's no Robo anytime soon, likely we're going to see another Dark Shrine out of our Protoss players here in North America. If there's a Robo down quickly, it's more likely that we'll see Glaves. Pardon me, not Glaves, but Blink out of Nina. Glaves is very unlikely to come out. I don't know what I'm talking about. Obviously, you don't do Glaved Adepts in PvT hardly ever. It takes 3 Glaved Adept shots to kill an SCV, whereas it only takes 2 to kill a probe or a drone. So, yeah, Glaves the least likely opener here, and Blink Stalker is going to scale a lot better. No Robo, so it's not going to be into like some sort of crazy Warp Prism DT play. Just Blink Stalkers, and I imagine we'll see a third base out of Nina at a pretty responsible time. Reaper gets back in. Stalker out of position, but that's okay, because there is that shield battery here, so the shield battery actually going to pay off from Nina. The Stalker unable to get too much more done, and the Stalker will get sniped there. Good catch by Nina. Natural for Vindicta's finished up, as is the 1-1-1. And we got some little Widow Mines popping across here for Vindcita. 1-2. It looks like 3 Widow Mines going to be out here. And you know what that means, kids? Widow Mine drop. That's right. Widow Mine drop into Bioplay as Barracks 2 and 3 come down for Vindcita. Be the first Widow Mine drop we've seen. And now Nina is a very, very sharp player. Her map awareness is fantastic. I'd be surprised if Nina were caught by surprise by a Widow Mine drop. I'd be shocked. Oh. Vindcita? Vindcita left. He left a man behind. Hasn't he seen Saving Private Ryan? No soldier left behind. Come on, Vindcita. All right, so instead of a 3 Widow Mine drop, it's going to be a 2 Widow Mine drop, and I'm going to chalk that up to a bit of a mistake from Vindcita, trying to unburrow one of his other Widow Mines, and looks like he just forgot about that one at the north side of the base, but still cranking out a few more. Oh, that's what he's doing. Never mind. Not a mistake at all. Vindcita, you sneaky bear. This is so uncommon as to be almost unheard of. Double drops here. 2 medevacs, 2 Widow Mines each. Now, this has been spotted by the pylon on the high ground, so Nina might be rotating. Yeah, Stalkers over to the natural. So it looks like what Vindcita wants to do here is just move up into the maid with a second drop. Drop the second drop, draw the Stalkers away, and then go into the main base. Observer going to keep eyes on this drop, and Nina right now is feeling really good. Nina's like, oh, good, I got your drop covered. I can see it right there. My Stalkers are in place. Ain't no way you're getting down into that. And oh, baby, here it comes. Here it comes. Here it comes. Into the natural. Wow. Okay. Interesting choice from Vindcita here. Going into the natural, trying to catch these Widow Mines at an odd angle. The probes are all going to get out of here, though. This is a really nice dodge from Nina. Even blinks away with the Stalkers here. Wow, what a cleanup. Nina able to grab the last Widow Mine. Yeah, the Observer's here, man. The Widow Mine not going to do too much. Only one more Widow Mine. Nina's going to snipe it, snipe it, snipe it, snipe it. Nice. Nicely done. 4 Widow Mines down for the cost of 2 probes, and that was handled about as well. 3 Widow Mines down. Sorry, where's that 4th Widow Mine? Oh, it's still in the natural. Hopefully Nina doesn't let this one hit her. Oh, God. Okay, nice. Blinks on top of it. Very nicely done by Nina there. From the beginning to the end of that attack, Nina completely in control. Bit of an unusual choice, I'll be honest, from Vindcita to try and drop both Widow Mines into this main base, coming in with from the south side and from the northwest as well. I'm not sure how I feel about that. Again, a much more common play would be to drop into the main base, try and draw the army out of the natural, and then push into the natural to try and cause some consternation on 2 fronts, but not the choice there that Vindicta goes for. Nina going to move across with some of these Blink Stalkers. Will catch one of the medevacs on the retreat, but the medevac will make it away. Observers out, a blink up into the main. Could be a very real possibility. Nina should have seen this. Oh no, just barely didn't see this other drop coming out, actually. Nina would have just missed it there. So no bead on this other drop that's coming around here, and this looks pretty scary. Plenty of Marauders in this drop. A lot of Marauders for a very early game here for Vindicta. 4 Marauders down, just as concussive shells and +1 finishes. Nina going to try and get some pressure at the front base here, but forced to use that blink defensively to get away from the Widow Mines, and this allows Vindicta to chase, but Vindicta going for the flank. Beautifully played by Vindicta, and Nina's going to lose everything here. What a loss from Nina! Not a single stalker gets away. What a cleanup! That drop from Vindicta was hashtag calculated, and Nina lost so much. How many stalkers have gone down? Bah, God, 10 stalkers! Is that Vindicta's music I hear? This is so good from Vindicta. 64, army supply to 47. 3 Immortals out from Nina, which is really nice here, but the Widow Mines can soften up everything. Remember, Immortals can't blink, guys. If they get locked onto by a Widow Mine, they're just going to have to eat that shot real hard. Oh, man, Nina dragging that Widow Mine shot onto her main army here, and things looking better and better for Vindicta. Now, Vindicta only has 2 medevacs here, which means he can't overstim. He's got to be so cautious with this army, and if he eats some Widow Mine fire, he's going to be in a lot of trouble, but he's not going to. Nice pickups there. 10 probes going down at the 3rd base as well. This Liberator getting a hefty portion of kills. 2nd Liberator getting driven away from the natural, but the drop in the main is so real, and Nina getting hit hard on all fronts. Nina did have an amazing income advantage there in the early part of the game here. Let's take a look at the income graph and see. Nina was doing so well ahead on probes, ahead on income, and now that has just been washed away. Disappeared like when a raccoon tries to wash cotton candy to clean it before they eat it. Oh my God, that's the most adorable GIF in the world. If you have not seen the GIF of the raccoon who gets a piece of cotton candy and then tries to wash it, because raccoons wash all their food before they eat it. It's cute as hell. The poor guy looks so confused. Oh. Anyway, Nina's lead disappearing just like that. Gone. Completely gone. 3rd base saturated up for both players here. Worker count roughly even, but again, Vindicta finds himself in a strong position here. No 2-2 on the way for Vindicta. In fact, the armory not finished, I don't believe, for Vindicta. Yeah, no armory yet. So he's going to be stuck on 1-1 for a while, which means that Nina will have an upgrade advantage. You can see her dutifully chronoing out these 2 upgrades, and that's going to be one good way that Nina can come back in this game. Upgrades are so important in PvT, especially with the compositions we've got here. No disruptors out for Nina, which means the upgrades are actually going to matter. And Vindicta not going for a Cyclone heavy army either. Remember, Cyclones and Disruptors. Did he just murder his own ghost? Vindicta just murdered his own ghost. That had to have been a misclick. That's actually a huge mistake from Vindicta. What the hell? Yeah, it doesn't show up as lost because he straight up murdered his own ghost there. What the hell? Okay. Vindicta on 3 ghosts now instead of 4, rebuilding 1. He's still going to have plenty of EMP energy available, and that was just very weird. That was just very weird. What? What? Okay, this is just weird. This is so weird. Is Vindicta, like, paranoid? He didn't kill a ghost that time, but... Alright, I'm truly, well and truly consternated. We'll see what's going down. Anyway, this is going to be a big fight here. Nina with plenty of gateway units. Vindicta with plenty of bio units as well. EMP does catch a few of the units here from Nina. 2nd EMP blankets the entire army, trying to draw these units into a Widow Mine shot. The Widow Mine shot not going to go off, though. Actually, nice dodge by Vindicta, not getting any friendly fire, but this is a very scary push from Vindicta still. Nina has 4 Immortals in this push, though. I think 3 Immortals in this push, rather. So there's a lot of DPS in the army for Nina, but I'm pretty sure that Vindicta still has a pretty good shot. Liberator sieging up, going to drive some of these units back. The Stalker should be able to poke down that Liberator. The Liberator just trying to zone out a little bit. Disruptor shot only getting a few of the Widow Mines, but the remaining Widow Mines are all getting cleaned up there, and Nina holds a very, very dangerous push for Nina. Yeah, those of you asking in the chat, where's my co-caster? Where is Grant? Grant normally joins me for the North America event, but unfortunately he is under the weather. He was in hospital just 2 days ago, and he was very, very kind to join me for the EU event today, still a little bit under the weather. And after we finished EU, he said, mate, I am not feeling it today. Simply can't make it work. So normally I'm joined by Grant, and hopefully he'll be back tomorrow, but he's a little under the weather right now. If you guys miss Grant and you want him back on the stream, please do be sure to go on Twitter at Grant SC2, I think. You'll find him. And let him know how much you love him and how much you miss him. He's a good guy, and it's always tough when you see one of your friends in a bad place. All right, nice dodges there by Vindcita. Not able to get much done. Nina forced to recall there. Liberator will get, I was going to say picked away, but he's not going to. There are only one sentry. Forced to warp in a couple stalkers here. Very odd Liberator placement from Vindcita. Still poking around at the third base of Nina as well. Nina's 12 o'clock is going to hold still, though. And Vindcita on 4 bases. Nina on 4 bases. And, ooh, yeah, baby dolls. We have got a fusion core coming down. Boom! Excellent. Excellent. We've got a Liberator range upgrade certainly on the way. It's highly unlikely this for battle cruisers. We see the reactor going down onto the starport. It's definitely going to be for that Liberator range, which is a great upgrade. I will say this Liberator range upgrade that we have been seeing, we've been seeing less and less of advanced ballistics over the last couple of weeks. Honestly, I recall when advanced ballistics was a must-have for Protoss or for Terran players against Protoss, and it was one of the first upgrades that Terran players would like prioritize against some other upgrades they might otherwise get. But we see fewer and fewer advanced ballistic upgrades these days. I think that's still a great upgrade to get, though. Just gives your Liberators so much more power, makes them so much safer, especially with this many Blink Stalkers in the field. Ooh, bold choice from Vindcita here. He's going for a quadruple drop, but Nina is out on the map, and I wonder if he's going to bring that quadruple drop back once he sees Nina's rather large army with this Widow Mine. Is the quadruple drop going to come back? No, he's committing to it. Oh, boy. Oh, boy, this is going to be really interesting here. Only one Liberator siege up. There's a huge, huge army from Nina here. Good EMP to zone this army out just a little bit here, but Vindcita really counting on this secondary army to punch in. I like this play from Vindcita as long as he can hold on at the 6 o'clock. Gonna be just fine. Shield battery overcharge immediately proccing from Nina, but it's not gonna last very long. Only a couple stalkers here to benefit from. The Nexus is gonna get picked down here. No shield battery overcharge, retargeting on the Nexus. The Nexus goes down right away, and these probes are all gonna try and evacuate, but Vindcita is just gonna get the heck out of here, and this is exactly what Vindcita needed to do. Look at this. Nina's entire army going back home to respond to just a handful of units from Vindcita. He's even gonna get out of there with 3 medevacs and a majority of his bio. That was such an inspired play from Vindcita. I was a little concerned if Nina had put pressure on that 6 o'clock base. Vindcita may not have been able to defend against it, but with the planetary here now, I think he's got a much better shot. And of course, that fifth orbital command going to go into this bottom right-hand corner, and Vindcita's going to find himself in a good position. Nina's 5th base just getting started as well. These players playing tit for tat, just keeping up with each other so well. Dark Shrine on the way for Nina. 3-3 on the way for Nina. 3-3 on the way for Vindcita. More ghosts on the way for Vindcita. This is everybody's dream PvT right now. Both players playing an amazing, amazing game. And it's, as always, it's going to come down to these engagements here. Since both players are being so diligent about their upgrades, being diligent about their tech, being diligent about their compositions, it will come down to the actual engagement here. It's going to come down to splitting, disruptor shots, and if the fight happens under these Liberators, which would be really interesting. An aggressive blunk forward there from Nina. The Liberators all going to go down one by one, getting some decent shots off, but Nina clears those Liberators up, and that is really, really nice. Good disruptor shots there. It looks like he's going to get caught from the backside as well. Nina will get a few disruptor shots, but misses the ghosts, actually, and that's a huge miss from Nina. There we go. That one finally gets the ghosts, and the ghosts for Vindcita will go down. Ghost count still at 4. But that's not quite as many as he had before. A bit of a mistake. Oh, dear. Oh, dear. Blink DTs on the way from Nina, and I love Blink DTs late game for PvT. Blink DTs are so pernicious, you guys. If you blink right on top of the missile turret, it'll go down immediately. And once the missile turret's gone, Planetary Fortress, of course, can't fire on those DTs. You gotta scan and hope it'll get up at the Planetary Fortress fires so slowly that it can't kill all the DTs. So DT Blink, a very powerful move from Nina here. And again, we're gonna see Nina moving in with some really nice DT action here. Missile turret goes down right away. Will force a scan out of Vindcita. Vindcita not able to deal with this, has to lift off that command center, and this is a beautiful, beautiful job here from Nina. 8, 9, 10, 11 kills for 1 DT. That is a low-cost, high-reward attack for Nina, who's now confident enough to break down some of these rocks and move forward. Disruptor shots coming out here. The 10 SCVs going to Nina's army is all together now, and Vindcita slightly out of position here. Vindcita going to set up these Liberators, but the Liberators way out of position already. Even with advanced ballistics, they're not going to get too much done. Disruptors trying to get what they can. Oh, there it is. Finally, the CC goes down. A good snipe from Nina. These Liberators, again, just out of position a little bit, not as aggressively far forward as they would like, and now, unfortunately, Vindicta's 4th base location going to burn down, forced to return back to this 4th base planetary in the bottom corner. But since this was the 3rd base actually, because it was an orbital command, and since it was the orbital command that went down, that means fewer scans for Vindcita, and you know what scans are great against? DTs. So unfortunately, that's actually going to have a big knock-on effect. Great EMPs blanketing Nina's army here. The Liberators, though, going to go down one by one by one. Vindcita trying to go for a flank here, but Nina's not going to let that happen. Nina absolutely sees this coming, backs out of there. Great game sense by Nina. If she would have engaged into that, she could have gotten completely surrounded here, and Vindcita would have been able to sandwich Nina's army on that high ground. Very nicely done by Nina to disengage from that, wait for the shields to regenerate just a little bit after the good EMPs, and try and find pressure elsewhere. Now, Nina should know about this bottom base. I mean, even if she doesn't see it, she hasn't seen it yet, but even if she doesn't see it, she should know that it's there. Disruptors being used to zone out this army, and another aggressive blunk from Nina there. Disruptors on the backside, but these Blink Stalkers are going to be able to protect them for just long enough here, and the Stalker should have Blink ready to go again to get underneath these Liberators. The Liberators getting what they can done, but big Disruptor shots from Nina here. Vindicta's army supply dropping like a stone in a pond, and Nina's going to clean all of this up. The medevacs go down, and Nina grabs game number 2.